I'm Cody Story down here at Story Fitness, and today I'm going to help you learn how to build a tactical push-up. We're going to start from the regressions and build you all the way up to the full body progression of the tactical push-up. So to get you started, you're going to have to develop a hollow body. If you can achieve a solid hollow body, your push-up will not just be about your shoulders and your arms moving. The push-up will actually become a full body or a total body exercise. So to do that, you got to make sure we can create the proper amounts of activation. The hollow body is where we develop a solid platform, and then we can add more movement complexity to it down the road. Even within these regressions and progressions, you'll be able to move upward into complexity, but you got to always make sure you have a quality technique before moving on to the next progression. So to get you started, we're going to start off breaking down the hollow body position. So from here, you could do it on the knees or knees off. So I'm going to give you the first option, which is to learn how, actually in cat-cow, to round the spine where it's in a flexed position, tucking the tailbone, which helps you tilt the hip. Then we can go in the opposite direction, extending the spine, and now we're in the opposite of what would be a hollow body. So in this position, the core, as far as the abdominal muscles, they're not going to be able to contract and activate to support the weight of your body and stabilize the spine. So we're going to move back into that cat-cow position. This would be mad cat, tailbone tuck, and you're going to feel the ribs, and they're going to pull downward, which we call knitting the ribs. So from this position, you're just going to keep the flexed spine and walk the knees back a little bit. Then we're going to move into forward pressure by pulling the shoulder blades down and squeezing the glutes and tucking the tailbone. The last piece I want you to add is to rotate your elbow pits forward. So the ribs are knitted down, shoulders out of the neck, elbow pits forward, glutes tight with tailbone tuck. So that's a kneeling hollow body position. The upper back will be flexed or rounded. To go to the next level for your hollow body, you're just going to drive the knees upward towards the ceiling, walk the feet in together, and then drive body weight into the heels, elbow pits forward again. Round the spine, push away from the earth, squeeze the glutes tight, make sure the legs are locked. And then you can travel forward, shoulders slightly in front of the wrists, creating forward pressure. So round spine, elbow pits forward, hollow body position with the ribs knitted down. Make sure the elbows are fully locked with that rotation, and then slowly bring your knees back down to the floor. So that's how to start to feel the position or find the position on the spine, which really is about the hip tilting so you can get tailbone tuck. So the hollow body is really what you're going to use to set up the ability to achieve activation and then also the movement in the arm necessary to get into the bottom and then back to the top position of that push-up. So make sure you've worked on your hollow bodies. One extra piece you can add more activation in a full body hollow body is to actually point the toes, squeeze the heels together, and then again, shoulders slightly in front of the wrists, really, really round, glutes super tight with tailbone tuck. So that's one more option in the hollow body if you point the toes. And you'll feel the front line of your body, all the abdominal muscles activate more so than with the toes pulled underneath. So give those three options a try. Make sure you have the hollow body down before moving into this next option, which is going to be your kneeling ellipse. So we'll call that regression number 1. So we'll move into child's pose position. Arms are extended all the way out. Elbows are locked. Lengthen the spine. Make sure the mic doesn't get all crazy on us. So elbows are locked, and you're looking towards the floor, hips to heels. Travel forward, and we're going to find that kneeling hollow body position. Glutes are tight. The knees can be hip to shoulder width. Elbow pits are rotating forward first. From here, you're going to pull yourself downward towards the floor through the arms. Rounding the spine, shoulders lower than elbows, elbows pinched into the ribs, and your glutes are activated, ribs down, core activated. From this bottom position, arch the low back, push through the palms, forearms to the floor. All the way back to the elbows lock, hips to heels, back to child's pose. So we're going to round the spine on the way out like that mad cat position we worked on. Shoulders down out of the ears, elbow pits forward. Glutes are tight with a tailbone tuck. Descending down halfway, shoulders lower than elbows, elbows to ribs. push, forearms down, all the way back. So we're going to go forward, hollow body 1, elbows to ribs 2, forearms down, arch low back 3, push back, elbow lock 4. And that's your kneeling ellipse. So I gave you all the little nuances and details. Really work on that. Make sure you have all those pieces down, and you want to be on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as technique is concerned, an 8 or above. If not, go ahead, work on those hollow body options that I gave you. If you have more questions, you can always hit me up on my Facebook and just say, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Or I was confused with this part of the technique, and I'll get back to you. I'll answer any questions you have. So that's regression 1. And that's working on the negative portion of the push-up, so the descent down to elbows to ribs. So what happens when we get the elbows to the ribs is we create external rotation on the shoulder. And that's going to carry over to the next options as well. So in the middle of the movement, we could call this the bottom position of the push-up. You're rotating those elbows in. And I'm just giving you this key point now. That way you work on external rotation, elbows to ribs, and that's going to actually pack the shoulder. Okay? When you get shoulder pack, you're going to activate the pec, and it's going to connect back to the lat muscles. So that way the elbows don't flare up and the shoulders don't creep into the neck, which is very unstable on the shoulders. So you want to keep the ribs in, or the elbows in, and when you do that, you're creating external rotation on the shoulder, which is a nice, safe, and stable packed position that's going to allow you to express more strength. So carry that into the next progressions as well, and be sure to make sure when you're working on the ellipse that you're working on external rotation as well as that core activation from the hollow body. Those are the two major ingredients for everything else. All right, so I'm going to bring a kettlebell over, and this will be your second regression, and we're going to be working on a kneeling push-up. So the kettlebell is nice because it changes the angle. So the next step up before we get to the kneeling push-up on the ground, it's going to be a little bit lighter because of that angle. Also, what's going to happen is it's going to put you into external rotation because of the position of the hands on the kettlebell. So the fingers are going to point down towards the floor. It's also an unstable position, so you're going to have to become more stable as a result of the kettlebell being able to slide out. So be sure that you're stable and the kettlebell doesn't roll to one side or the other. So the palms, you're going to bring them all the way in, wrists touching. Again, find that hollow body position to start. Really pack the shoulders down. From this position, move forward so you're on a slight angle with your shoulders traveling in front of the wrists. Same idea, we're going to pull on the way down. Now you're going to sneak the elbows underneath the torso more. You're stacking the body or the torso on top of the elbows and forearms. Shoulders lower than elbows, and then we're going to push away. So we're pulling, short, sharp exhale, short, sharp exhale on the top. Every time you get to the top, you want to drive your elbow pits forward into a fully elbow lock position and really work on keeping those shoulders down out of the neck. So we pull down, exhale through the core, making sure when you go down to the bottom position that the elbows don't flare out. You want to work on getting the elbows underneath the torso. And again, that's working on creating that external rotation. So you've changed the angle, you got the hands rotating out, which now allows you to get the elbows in more, so the shoulders stay stable, and you're going to achieve a better hollow body before we take the kettlebell out and work on what is the next third regression, the kneeling push-up from the floor. So we're going to carry over all the key cues that you've been learning on the past two and apply them to the kneeling push-up now without the kettlebell. So we're going to remove the kettlebell. Now there's going to be more load added to your push-up. But again, still knees on the floor, tailbone tucked, glutes tight. Pulling into the bottom position, elbows underneath the torso, elbow lock. Pack the shoulders down, core tight, glutes tight, pull, push. Think of pulling the elbows towards the hips and in on the way down, then driving elbows forward on the top. And it's almost like your forehead is going to touch the floor. Obviously, you don't want to headbutt the ground, so be wary of that. It should be 1 inch or 2 off of the ground, but your shoulders should be below the elbow joint, just like on the other options. So we're going to move into the next progression, which is actually going to be the full body push-up, or the full body tactical push-up. So we're going to go same position on the hands, but instead of the knees down, we're going to find that hollow body, knees off the ground. Shoulders slightly in front of the wrist, elbow pits forward, squeeze the glutes, round the spine. Pull on the way down, push. Short, sharp exhale through the core on the bottom and the top. Elbows in. Same cues we've been working on. Drive the elbow pits forward. Make sure they lock out completely on the top of the push-up. So again, external rotation on the shoulders, shoulders packed down. Tailbone tuck, activate the core, and work on those exhales, disciplining the breath on the bottom and the top position, always thinking of exhaling on the effort. So those are your options to get you started with the tactical push-up. Like I said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. I'm Cody Story. I'm down here, a little winded, at Story Fitness. Reach out and I'll give you a holler back. Take care.